Match cut trending edit. Watch and learn. This is Filmora Mastery, and let's get started. Firstly, use the link in the description of this video to go to this website, the Paper Animator. And right here you can sign in. After that, you can go to this section right here, which is the text match card. Now, if you are ready, you can go to the Pro version right here, which is going to give you extra features. But just for this example right here, we are going to use this free version. And right here, you can type the name that you want on the match card. Right now, I'm going to type this guy here, which I don't really know how to pronounce his name. After that, you can change the resolution depending on the type of video that you'd want to create. But mostly for edits like this, it has to be the vertical. And then after that, you can go to create the text match card. Now we are done the very first step, and we are going to use this for the edit. Here, the very first step here is to adjust the project settings. Like in this case, you can choose the Instagram, which is 1:1 aspect ratio, and then put it on 60 FPS. Here, let's drag down the audio that we are going to use for this edit. Right, select that audio, and then on this option right here, which is the Smart Edit tool, choose the bit detection. You can feel free to adjust the markers if they are not very accurate. Now that our bits are mapped on this audio, you can now drag down the video clips that you are going to use. Right now, you can drag down our match card clip, leaving the even gaps for the characters' clips. And now, let's add zooms to these clips. If your clip selected, just use Alt+C to open the crop and zoom window. Change the ratio to custom for easy customization. So right here, I'm going to create the end being smaller than the start, and that is going to give it a zoom in. Right here, you can use this option here to vice versa the zoom. If you are zooming in, then it will be zooming out, just for a different style. And once you are here, right-select the first clip, and then use this option right here, which is going to copy the effects, and then paste them on the rest of the match card clips. Now, you can add the characters' clips to fill the gaps. Right here, you can select multiple clips and then go to the Speed tab here and then adjust the speed. Just slow it down and then down here. You can find the AI frame interpolation option right there. Choose the optical flow for the maximum smoothness. Now again, you have to make different zoom in for the characters' clips. So let's go back to the crop and zoom panel. Again, you can copy the effects and then paste on the remaining clips. But this time around, you need to revisit each clip to adjust the crop and zoom. And now on this part, the bits are really close. I'm going to the effects and then search for the effect called old film. And I can choose this one, which is very old film. All right. Next, we need to create a fading effect, kind of. So you can put the dissolve transition on the both ends, but that is going to affect a lot of things. So under the media, under the editing presets, drag down an adjustment layer, and then go to the color tab. And here we only want to affect the exposure of the clip. All right. So add the keyframe on the middle. All right. And then on the starting frame, reduce the exposure to 0. And then again on the last frame, reduce the exposure. Now you can open the key graph and then adjust the graph like this, just to make it smooth, not abrupt. And of course, right now, you can just duplicate the adjustment layer to the next clip or clips if you have more. All right, we are going well so far. Now let's go to the effects. We want to attend this part, which is close beats, all right? And search for black and white noise. After that, search again for the effect called the negative dark, all right? And then drag it on the clip. Now, if you realize, you find out that there is a silent gap on this audio here, and we are not going to put anything here, and that is going to build suspense, you know, as the next beat is going to play suddenly. Now, on the very first part, after the silence, I have my image cut text clip. So I'm going to duplicate my very first clip and then freeze frame. Now, move that part on top of your image cut text clip. And now go to the crop and zoom to make some adjustments. Now, on the right side of your preview screen, you can see the AI tools. Scroll down to the AI portrait to remove the background of this character. And now, under the Transform tab, add a keyframe. And then, when you move back on the first frame, drag the position Y down like this way. And then adjust the key graph. That is going to give it this down-up animation. And of course, after that, you need to make it smooth. So, you go to the Effects tab and then search for the directional blur. On the Effect properties, adjust the direction to 90 degrees. And then add a keyframe on the very first frame. And then adjust the blur strength to 30. And then on the last frame, reduce the blur to 0. Now you can go back again to the effects, and now we want just to stylize this. So you get the BBC halftone effect under the Boris effects. You can play around the effects setting here or just copy mine. But it all depends with the kind of style that you are aiming for. Now under the Basic tab, you can enable the drop shadow. And then make some adjustments right there, like increasing the opacity and making sure that the color is black. All right, so now after that, you just have to make sure that you apply the optical flow to all of your clips. All right, fellow creators, if you are enjoying this video so far, be sure to subscribe and share if the content is great for you. But just make sure you watch to the very end so that you produce the perfect edit. So now let's move on to the microwave part, which is this part of the audio. Now the first thing on the microwave edit is to do the speed ramp, all right? So when you go to the speed here on the speed ramping custom, you can adjust your speed ramping graph like in this way. Right here we need a zoom in. Just a little zoom. All right, and then apply. All right, and now at this stage, you need to right select this clip and then create or convert it into a common clip. And once that is done, then you can duplicate it to the next bit. Remember, we are working with bits on which we are being guided by the markers. All right, so the next or the duplicate of the first common clip should cover up to the next bit. All right, then use this little option right here to navigate to the reverse speed. All right, so which means this second clip is reversing. All right, but now this middle part right here, we can add a dissolved transition. Now let's move on to the great part of a few effects to make the edit look pro. Alright, so for that, we are going to drag down an adjustment layer, and then we adjust it to fit the length of each part of the microwave edit. Now, of course, our very first effect right here is the dispersion blur. Then you go to the effects properties here, leave the type on 1, clarity radius on 0.2. And then now, on the first frame of the adjustment layer, add a keyframe, move the playhead to the middle, and then reduce the blur intensity to 0. And then on the last keyframe, reset it to default, which is 10. Now right now we need kind of a flash or a lighting effect, right? So we're just going to go on the color here through the adjustment layer and then adjust the exposure, all right? So on the very first keyframe on your face frame of the adjustment layer, you can just increase the exposure to something like 40 or 50. And then, on the last frame, you reduce the exposure. And now, of course, you can open the key graph and then adjust the graph curves like this. All right. Now go back to the Effects tab and then search for the Extreme effect. All right. We really want that shaky effect right now. And then you take it down and adjust it to the half of the adjustment layer's duration. Okay, and then, on the effects properties here, add the very first keyframe on the face frame of the effect. And then adjust the position X to 0.25. The Y to 0.1. And then on the last frame, reduce all to 0.0. And just as usual, you can adjust your key graph, all right? All right, let's go back to the Effects tab. And this time around, we want the directional or direction blur, all right? And then you take it down. I think this time around, I just want about 12 frames of this effect. Now, this all depends if you are editing your project, as I have said earlier, which means 60 frames per second. And if you copy everything that I do, there won't be difference. But if you are editing in 24 or something, then it won't be exact, all right? Now, on the effects properties again, all right, just a few seconds. And right now, the very last thing for you to do is to go to the stock media, drag down a white image, all right. Then add it again on the first 10 frames, right on top there. Because what we want right now is to create a flash effect, okay? Right. So on the very first frame, add a keyframe, and then right on the end, reduce the opacity to 0, all right? And then, as usual, adjust the key graph. Now let's watch the actual preview of everything while it's in the timeline. That's exactly how you do this. And it's all simple and easy, but you just have to be accurate and very careful. I hope you have found this tutorial helpful. If so, give a like button and subscribe. Until I meet you in the next one, right here on the screen, peace.